Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Welcome to the post-cabinet press briefing for Wednesday, December 23rd, 2015. This morning's brief will be done by the Minister of State, Honorable Joseph Harmon, and he is accompanied by the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Jaipaul Sharma. We hear from Mr. Harmon.
Mr. Archer. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I shall present today's post-cabinet press briefing in conjunction with the Honorable Minister Jaipaul Sharma, Minister within the Ministry of Finance. I wish on behalf of His Excellency the President, Cabinet and the Government of Guyana to extend to you and the people of Guyana felicitations and best wishes for this festive season. May the peace, joy, and blessings of Christmas permeate our land, and may there be goodwill among us. This is a greeting not just for the people here, but also our Guyanese people in the diaspora and those who are visiting us for this season. I wish to also, on behalf of Cabinet, extend Eid greetings to our Muslim community on the occasion of Yom Nabi, the birth date of the Prophet Muhammad, to be celebrated tomorrow, December 24th. Yesterday was a very historic day for Cabinet because we deliberated on several major issues which affect the life and livelihood of many thousands of Guyanese people. And so today I will elaborate on some issues as it relates to the National Industrial and Commercial Investments Limited and the report on the Guyana Sugar Corporation, among other things. Cabinet considered the comprehensive report of the forensic audit and review of the operations of the National Industrial and Commercial Investment Limited, NISIL, that was submitted by the consultant, Dr. Anand Gulsaran, as well as a set of recommendations on the report submitted by the Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Jaipaul Sharma. Cabinet considered the importance of the decisions that had to be made with respect to NISIL and the far-reaching consequences of the recommendations of both the Honorable Minister and the consultant. Cabinet was also advised that the Board of Directors of NISIL had not yet deliberated on the report submitted. However, Cabinet gave the following directions to the Honorable Minister of Finance with respect to this matter. And those were that the reports and accompanying notes of the consultant and the advice of the Minister be handed to the Commissioner of Police and the Special Organized Crime Unit for investigations as to whether there were any acts of criminality committed by those concerned and to take the process forward. That the reports submitted to the Auditor General, that the said reports be submitted to the Auditor General for a more precise audit of the issues highlighted in the report. That the Minister of Finance gives instruction for a transaction audit of NISIL to be conducted, and that to facilitate all of these things, that the Chief Executive Officer and the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of NISIL be sent on administrative leave immediately, pending the outcome of the actions that have to be taken. It may be recalled that Cabinet was briefed on the state of affairs of Gaisuco and the sugar industry at the Cabinet retreat held on November 28, 2015. The report of the Commission of Inquiry into the operations and state of the corporation was then given to members of Cabinet to study and make recommendations. Cabinet noted the structure of the report and various aspects of the industry that were examined by the Commission of Inquiry. I wish to take this opportunity on behalf of Cabinet to publicly thank the commissioners for a very comprehensive report and a job well done. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, in an effort to move the process forward, submitted a number of proposals to Cabinet for consideration. His proposals had to do with the options that are available to make the industry viable in the near future. It was agreed at Cabinet that given the importance of the sugar industry to the national economy and the number of persons that depend on it for a livelihood, that there was need for wider consultation with all stakeholders and the general public about the future of the industry. It was also agreed that the Commission of Inquiry's report be sent to the National Assembly for deliberation at that body before final decisions are made. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture will issue a full statement about this matter later this afternoon. Cabinet continued to grant this objection to contracts to the value of $375,225,580. Contracts were awarded for the procurement of vaccines and equipment for the Ministry of Health, specifically for the Georgetown Public Hospital. Contracts were awarded for, no objections, of course, the contracts awarded for a new generator building and installation of fixture, diesel and electric ceilings for the ministry in the sum of $50,915,422. That contract was awarded to Cummins Electrical Company Limited. Cabinet also gave its no objection for the procurement of associated equipment such as industrial dryers, large refrigerators, and industrial washing machines for the Ministry of Public Health. These were in the sum of $9,352,500 and $27,405,000. The contracts were awarded to Caribbean Medical Supplies, Inc. in the first instance, and Netcom Computer City in the second instance. Cabinet gave its no objections to several contracts for infrastructure work in Port Kaituma in Region 1. We would recall that last week we had announced contracts for infrastructure work in that area. In particular, there were works to be done on some of the roads. Cabinet has now given its no objection to additional contracts for the Port Kaituma Hospital Complex. This is a contract in the sum of $16,509,600. That's a contract awarded to Alvin Chortmutu Construction Services. Also for the construction of infectious inpatient facility at the Port Kaituma Hospital Complex, contract in the sum of $40,962,570, and that's a contract awarded to N&E Construction Company. Also for the construction of an administrative services building at Port Kaituma Hospital Complex, contract in the sum of $35,796,162, awarded to Alvin Chortmutu Construction Services. Cabinet also gave its no objection to the purchase of high-density polythene for the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. This was a contract in the sum of $15,937,500, and that was awarded to the hardware depot. You recall that at this time of the year that it's the rainy season, and in the past we've had flooding. We do expect that this time around, when the rain comes, that we'll be in a much better position. And this is why we have actually spent so much money on infrastructure. And the purchase of these, this high-density polythene also assists in that regard. So we hope that once the rains come this time, the preparations which we have made will ensure that the water runs off very quickly from the land and the residents do not have to suffer losses as they have in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the extent of the cabinet brief for today, and I'm prepared to take any questions which you have. As I said, Minister Sharma, who has joined me, will be prepared to take any further questions on the National Industrial and Commercial Industry Limited. Thank you very much.
Radamotilal NCN. Minister Harmon, could you shed some light on the COI report for Gaisuko and whether in fact, based on reports, that any recommendations were made for any of the estates to be closed?
Well, there are recommendations that were made for the estates to become more efficient. Even without the Commission of Inquiry's findings and recommendations and actions taken on it, my understanding is that Gaisuko, on its own volition, has actually decided to sort of merge some estates. So, for example, the estate at Wales, my understanding is that that estate will be merged with the estate at Iflat, and therefore the canes from Wales will go to Iflat. So that's an attempt to efficientize the operations. There are some proposals that will seek to make the operations of the estates a little more independent, but those proposals, as I said, will have to be subject to wider consultation. But the whole idea is to make the industry more efficient so that it does not be a sort of a drain on the economy, to be providing large sums of funds every year. The whole idea is to make it efficient so that, as I said, it's not a drain on the economy.
Adam Harris, Prime News, sir. NISIL. You said, sir, that one of the recommendations is to do a transaction audit. Mr. Brassington, in turn, made the comment that whatever he did was sanctioned by cabinet and by the board of directors. If there are any wrongdoings, where do we go?
Well, I don't want to second guess what the police will find or what the precise forensic audit will find from the Auditor General's office. But what I can say is that there is, in Cabinet's view, there's sufficient information provided in that report for the agencies to whom these reports are sent to use that as a basis for further action. Cabinet is not saying that anybody should be charged, who should be charged, who should not be charged. Cabinet has said that based on the report brought to it, that these reports should be sent to the competent agencies for them to explore further and to basically dig deeper to determine whether criminality exists, and where they do find criminality, that they should take whatever action they deem necessary.
Quick follow-up, sir.
Yes.
If cabinet opted to send it to SOCU and to the police, obviously cabinet might have come to the conclusion that there were wrongdoings. Would I be correct in saying that cabinet smelled something fishy in the reports and therefore forwarded it to police?
Cabinet, Cabinet deliberated on the report. Cabinet didn't smell anything yesterday. It was the last meeting before Christmas, and if anything, maybe we might have smelled some black cake in the background or some pepper pot, but certainly not fish. And I think that it's a serious matter like this that you cannot act just on impulse. You have to act on what is before you and what is the evidence that is presented by the consultant and take actions based on that. Of course, also the report that was presented by the Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Finance for that purpose. So we were not acting on impulse, we were not smelling anything fishy, we were acting on what was before us. And that is what informed Cabinet's decision on the matter.
You might just
Jaipaul News. Mr. Harmon, some of the workers at the AG's office are complaining that they are not getting the $5,000 bonus. Can you explain why?
Well, I don't know about that. I spoke to the Attorney General not too long ago. He never made that, he never reported that.
Auditor General, not AG.
Auditor General.
Yes.
You got to get the G's and the A's, get them mixed them up. I can't say. I haven't heard of that report. And maybe there may be some agencies that did not probably fall under the categorizations given by the minister, or it is maybe they have had another interpretation of what was done. But what I can say is that it is the intention of the government to ensure that all persons in the public sector and the state agencies, as I understand it, Minister Sharma can clarify that all of them are to be paid the $50,000.
Correct. Basically, they may have some anomalies existing in various agencies. In relation to the Auditor General, may be persons that did not work for the full year, and if they entitled.
It's everyone. Everyone in the office, most of the workers.
Pardon me? It's everyone. That was not related to me. I know someone had concerns about working partially within the year, and they wanted to know if it's applicable to them.
But what I can say is that now that you've raised it, we will check it out. We will check with the audit office and find out whether in fact that is so, and make sure that the workers are given their just deserved. We don't want people going home for Christmas unhappy. We want to have a happy country. We want to have people going about their business in a happy way.
quick, sir. Word is that Mr. Brassington is migrating. And word is that the government has been so notified. Now, Ash Dionarine was able to leave. He was able to slip through somehow or other. Is there going to be any move to keep Mr. Brassington here until the end of negotiations, or would he be allowed to slip out?
Well, these are matters that are in the confine and the purview of the police. If in fact the police in their investigations believe that someone is a witness or someone is likely to be charged based on their investigations, there are procedures which are there for persons to be prevented from leaving the jurisdiction pending that investigation. With respect to Mr. Ash Dionarine, I'm not aware that an active police investigation had started at the time when he left Guyana. I'm not aware of that, but what I know for sure is that an active police investigation is going on into that matter.
Back to bonus, sir. Can you say if the discipline services will be getting their extra month salary as they usually do?
Well, the president has made it clear that the $50,000 for everybody.
And
That's probably even more than an extra month bonus if you calculate it.
Marcel, Starbrook News. A quick follow-up on the bonus. Government pensioners were not given the bonus. Why?
Government pensioners.
Government.
Okay, I think this was really a one-off payment to persons who were employed in the public service as at a certain date. My understanding of pensioners are that these are persons who would have been on pension, who have actually completed their active work in life and that they are in another category. So I think there are special provisions which have to be made for persons, for pensioners and persons in that category. This here had to do with people who were actually working in the public sector at this time of the year. Minister Sharma can again support me in that regard as is the contemplation of the payment.
You're correct, sir.
Thank you.
No, I'm seeking like an explanation because previously whatever increase was given to public servants was also given to the government pensioners, the 5%, because it was always 5%. I want to know why nothing specifically was given to them this year.
This is not a salary increase. This is a one-off payment of $50,000. It's not a salary increase of the 5% and then you add it to your previous salary and so on. This is $50,000 that's paid to persons who are working within the public sector and state-connected agencies. So it's not as if it is a salary increase. When the salary increases are made, then those calculations are made all across the board. But this here is basically a one-off payment for the workers who are within the public sector.
So is it safe to say then, Mr. Sharma, that the pensioners would have to wait until next year's budget to see what's in that package for them?
Well, if I may add before Mr. Sharma, that this government has always taken very serious steps to ensure that pensioners, persons who have actually worked most of their lives, given the best years of their lives in the public service, that they are actually cared for. We are government, that are caring government. And then you recall in the 2015 budget, there were certain, what you might call palliatives, which were placed there specifically for that category of persons. Minister Jordan had said that this is basically the beginning of a process of addressing the concerns of the pensioners. We continue to address the pensioners' concern. The pensioners are just like any other Guyanese, people who have actually given service to this country. And therefore, we will continue to look into their interests and ensure that they are also part of the good life that we talk about.
My substantive question now, Mr. Harmon. There has been a promise of...
So those were just preliminaries.
Yes,
I
that
see.
was on the side. There had been a promise of a report on constitutional reform. Can you update on this?
No, I have no further report on that. Certainly did not come up at cabinet this last meeting of cabinet. But I suppose at the end of the year, the ministries, they do end of the year reports and their press conferences based on what they have done and the stewardship of those ministries. And at the appropriate time, I believe that question will be addressed. The fact that you've raised it here, I will ask the responsible minister to be able to address it in their sort of review of the work of their ministries during the course of the year. This afternoon, you'll have an opportunity to hear what the Ministry of Agriculture has done and what they project to do. So during the course of the week, leading up to the 31st of December, you will have several ministers who will actually be doing the same thing. So the press will have an expanded opportunity to be able to question the ministers on what the ministries have done and what they project to do in 2015.
And, sir, when will the new Integrity Commission?
Well, the Integrity Commission, I believe the appointive committee of the National Assembly, they are meeting today, and several of these commissions and boards that have to go through that process, they've started and working on that. But the appointive committee of the National Assembly, they meet today, and those are the issues that will be dealt with.
I for Wharton Capital News. Mr. Harmon, yesterday the GPSU accused the government of being uncaring since they did not implement the pay increase for sweeper cleaners, which apparently was a cabinet decision from since 2013. And they said that this year, and the minimum wage has now jumped from 35,000 to 50,000, and sweeper cleaners are still earning below the minimum wage.
Well, this is a special category. And this is a subject of negotiation right now between the union and the government. There are some peculiar features about sweeper cleaners that have to be addressed. They are not just the same category of workers. These are people who work for a specific number of hours in the school system. And therefore, the arrangements for them have to be carefully worked out. I met last month with the Public Service Union, and I gave them the assurance that we continue to work on this issue to make sure that it is resolved in the shortest possible time. So I understand the union's anxiety, but we've also asked that the sweeper cleaners understand that we have the interest at heart, but that there are specific features of the kind of service which they provide, the hours of work which they provide on a daily basis, that will have to be categorized so that we can make a decision in that regard.
A quick follow-up to that. Should the sweeper cleaners expect to see all of this worked out by the 2016 budget?
Well, definitely we have started working on it, and I really do not see that there are major hurdles still to be crossed. I do not see it because I said we started talking to the union has put some proposals to us, and we are going to actively consider those proposals. I can say to you that it's something that is actively being considered, and that the sweeper cleaners can be assured that this government, this caring government, will continue to have the best interests at heart.
Sir, you talked about Gaisuko and development and efficiency. Part of the plan involves expanding cane cultivation and mechanization, putting machines in place. Can we expect to see more on this in the upcoming budget?
No, you will see more of that in the report which the minister is going to do, because the budget cannot allocate resources in a vacuum. It is based on sound investigation and some numbers which are placed before the Honorable Minister of Finance, that these things are done. So the COI, as I said, there are several things which have been reported. We're going to do some public consultations on the COI, as I did indicate to you. We're going to send it to Parliament. We'll have consultations in the communities. We'll have consultations with stakeholders, and we are going to find a way forward that will basically be what is right for Guyana in this circumstance.
Ariana Gordon, Guyana Chronicle. You had promised, you as in the government had promised, to make public that Gaisuko report. When would that be done?
Well, I just said that. It is now that the report itself, right, that the Minister of Agriculture will give you a synopsis of government's thinking this afternoon. And I believe that by the 30th of December, it should be laid in the National Assembly, so that at that point in time, it will be circulated very widely.
Okay.
Minister Harmon, could you give us a status update on the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry report?
The report, the chairman of that commission requested of His Excellency the President an extension of time to allow for the report to be presented. He did in fact indicate in his letter that there were some difficulties because the commissioners were in different countries and that they had some problems in actually putting together the final report. He did ask for an extension of time up to, I think, the end of January, and the President said he was minded to grant that extension. So that information would be communicated, or would have been communicated, if not, by the Attorney General to the Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Cheltenham.
The Code of Conduct for Ministers and MPs, why hasn't it been published as yet, as promised?
Well, that will come soon. That will come soon.
Soon
I don't
as in
want
how-
to. I
how
don't want
soon?
to expand on that right now because these are matters which have to be. You see, when you look at dealing with a code of conduct, you have to, of course, deal with the persons who are affected by it. You have to have consultations with them and other consultations before it is actually laid. We also expect that since it is going to affect the People's Progressive Party, that there will be some active consultations with them on the content of it. So we still need to have that consultation with the opposition so that we can lay before the National Assembly something that has buy-in from both sides, because all of the members of Parliament will be affected.
So you don't have a time frame you're working with?
No.
Capital Flight, sir. We know that there were investigations into Capital Flight and the actions of some people who were shipping money overseas. We learned that the government got an insight and some information on some of these people. Would you care to comment on what's going on?
I cannot comment on that. If it is in fact an active investigation, I don't have the status on it, but I can assure you that once the investigation has come to a point where the information can be made public, that you will have that information. I can say that to you now. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and that you also enjoy Eid, which is tomorrow. Thank you.